Hello everyone, and welcome to my B&B Fan Club channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The news swept over Los Angeles like a sudden Santa Ana wind, hot, unrelenting, and impossible to miss. Luna Noel Spencer was deceased. Not missing, not in a coma, and not imprisoned in a European clinic, as half of the city's people had been at some point. Dead. The girl who had arrived in town less than 2 years ago with a sketch pad, a mysterious parentage, and eyes that seemed to contain every secret Forrester Creations had ever buried had vanished. And the circumstances surrounding her death, along with the spectacle of her funeral, transformed an already broken community into something resembling a Greek tragedy rather than a daytime soap opera. It began with the discovery of her body. The official story, which the LAPD released to the press after Chief Baker personally informed Bill Spencer, was that Luna died from an accidental overdose. A fatal cocktail of fentanyl-laced pills poured down with a bottle of vintage Chardonnay from Forrester's cellar. Her fingerprints were on the bottle. Poppy Nozawa had been given an empty prescription vial months before for anxiety. The case was closed, or so they thought. But those who knew Luna, who had seen her traverse the minefield of her mother's falsehoods and her own newfound power, didn't believe it for a second. Not when surveillance footage from that night captured a mysterious person entering the guest house minutes before Luna's estimated death time. Not when the autopsy indicated damage on her upper arms from being restrained. And certainly not when the toxicology report mysteriously vanished from the coroner's office in the same week that Steffi Forrester Monaco threatened to sue the entire department for negligence. When the day of the burial arrived, the air at the Forrester home was thick with more than simply the perfume of the hundreds of white flowers Lee Finnegan had bought in an act of guilt-fueled excess. It was dense with distrust, with grief that hadn't decided whether it could be pure yet, and with the type of tension that causes people to talk quietly even when they want to scream. The event was held in the main living room since Luna's fantasy wedding chapel, back when she still believed in fairy tales and Finn as her prince, felt too cruel now. Eric Forrester insisted on hosting. He explained that it was what the family did. No one mentioned that Luna had only been family for 5 minutes before everything exploded, because Eric's eyes were red-rimmed and his voice shook as he said it, and Ridge couldn't bring himself to disagree. They positioned the casket at the foot of the grand staircase. Thank God it's closed. Nobody could have managed an open casket. Not with the way her face appeared in the crime scene images that came up on a tabloid website before her family even realized she was dead. Her skin was blue, her lips purple, and her eyes, those gorgeous green eyes that had made Finn weak from the moment he met her, were staring up at nothing. The makeup artist who had been summoned in to prepare the body for viewing had left on the spot, sobbing about how she couldn't make Luna look peaceful, when there was fingerprint damage around her throat that no amount of concealer could conceal. Lee Finnegan arrived first, as one would expect. She hadn't slept much since the night Luna was discovered. Her normally flawless chignon was slightly crooked, and the black Chanel suit she wore hung looser on her frame than it had a month before. She moved straight to the casket, resting one nervous palm on the smooth wood. For a moment it appeared that she may collapse. Her spine straightened, just as it had when she disowned Poppy all those years ago, and she turned to welcome the early visitors with the brittle serenity that comes from practicing devastation in the mirror. Poppy arrived next, escorted by Bill Spencer because she could no longer drive herself. Her eyes were nearly closed from crying, and she was clutching a little silk pouch that everyone knew contained Luna's favorite lip gloss, the one Poppy had purchased her the day they moved into Bill's mansion. Her legs gave up before she even made it 2 steps into the room. Naturally, Bill caught her. He'd been pursuing Poppy for weeks, ever since the DNA results confirmed what no one wanted to believe. Luna had drugged him, seduced him, and attempted to trick him into marrying her with a phony pregnancy. The same girl who used to address him as Mr. Spencer, with modest regard, had turned out to be capable of atrocities no one expected. And now she was gone, and Poppy wasn't sure if she was mourning her daughter or the monster she had become. Sheila Carter was the last person anyone expected to turn up, but there she was, sliding in through the side entry like a shadow that refused to go away. Deacon had tried to talk her out of it, he had even begged, but Sheila had that look in her eyes that suggested someone was going to listen to her whether they wanted to or not. She donned a modest black garment that nevertheless seemed off, as if darkness was attempting to masquerade as sadness. Finn saw her first. His entire body became rigid. He was standing near the casket with Steffi, one arm protecting his wife, when he noticed his biological mother hovering near the floral arrangements as if she belonged there. "What the hell are you doing here?" he hissed, crossing the room in 4 steps. Steffi followed, her shoes clicking like bullets on the marble floor. Sheila did not flinch. "I came to pay my respects." "You didn't even know her," Steffi exclaimed. "I knew enough," Sheila replied softly. "I knew what it was like to be a mother who had lost a child that everyone despised." Finn's jaw clenched painfully as he reflected on the world's perception of his baby as a monster. "Luna attempted to assassinate my wife. She snatched her. She kept her in a cage, Sheila. She was going to let her die." "I know," Sheila said quietly, with no grin or manipulation in her voice. "It's just weariness. I understand exactly what she did. And I understand what it's like to love someone who commits terrible acts. You think I can't see myself in her? The difference is that I am still breathing. She isn't." Steffi made a disgusted sound and moved away, but Finn merely stared at Sheila for quite some time. Something happened between them, an horrible understanding that only people linked by blood and bad judgments could share, and Finn walked away without saying anything. The service itself was a masterclass in barely controlled anarchy. Hope attempted to give a eulogy she had written the night before, but her voice cracked after the first sentence, forcing her to stop. Thomas grabbed the paper from her quivering hands and finished it, his own eyes strangely bright. He discussed Luna's brilliance, the design she was working on before everything went wrong, and how she once sketched an entire wedding gown collection inspired by hope for the future. He made no mention of the night Luna held a knife to Hope's throat at the Forrester Studios. Some truths were too harsh for a funeral. Rich spoke next. He talked about family forgiveness, how Luna was warmly welcomed into their house, and how horribly things had turned out. Brooke sat in the front row, clutching a rosary she didn't believe in, silent tears flowing down her cheeks. Every time Rich spoke the term family, Lee's shoulders shook harder. When it was Lee's turn to speak, the room went dead silent. She walked to the podium like a lady preparing for her own execution. For a long period she simply stared at the casket. Then she began speaking. Not the polished professional speech everyone anticipated from Dr. Lee Finnegan, but something raw and broken that no one in the room would ever forget. "I was ashamed of my sister," she said, barely above a whisper. "I was ashamed of her lifestyle, her choices, and the way she went about her life as if nothing mattered. When she told me she had a daughter, I didn't want to know her. I persuaded myself Luna was better off without us, without the judgment and expectations. I was mistaken. So incorrect." She hesitated, grasping the podium's edges so tightly that her knuckles became white. "I should have fought for her. When Poppy brought her to Los Angeles, I should have welcomed her, not turned away. If someone had loved her properly, she wouldn't have felt the need to hurt others to feel safe." She sobbed harshly. "I keep remembering the last time I saw her alive. She visited the hospital. She was dressed in her favorite ludicrous mint green outfit, complete with little flowers. She said she was proud to be my niece. She stated she hoped to make me proud one day. I told her that blood does not make family. I told her that her deeds mattered. I basically told my own niece that she wasn't enough," Lee said, her voice breaking. "She was not a monster. She was a tiny girl who never felt like she fit in anywhere. And we, all of us, made her feel as if she had to burn down the world to find her place in it." She couldn't go on. Jack Finnegan, the silent, stoic Jack who had scarcely spoken since the scandal broke, stood up and returned his ex-wife to her seat. Lee sank on him, sobbing into his shoulder like she hadn't since she discovered his affair with Sheila all those years before. Poppy went last. She did not use the podium. She moved straight to the casket and rested her forehead on the soft wood. "I'm sorry," she said quietly, loud enough for the entire room to hear. "I am sorry I was not a better mother. I apologize for teaching you that you could steal or mislead people into giving you affection. I'm sorry I led you to believe you had to be flawless to be loved. Baby, you were already perfect. You were always perfect." Poppy then did something unexpected. She reached into the silk pouch and took out Luna's lip gloss. With trembling hands, She opened the casket just enough to place it next to her daughter's hand. The entire room held its breath. Everyone could see Luna's face for a brief, inconceivable moment. Peaceful now, thanks to the mortician who was eventually persuaded to finish the job. Her lips were painted in the same delicate pink she had worn when she first kissed Finn. Poppy closed the lid carefully, as if tucking her kid in for the night. After that, nobody knew what to do with themselves. The reception line broke up into groups of people mumbling theories. Was it truly an accident? Had Steffi finally snapped and exacted revenge? Had Tom Starr's drug-dealing history finally caught up with Luna from beyond the grave? Had Sheila, God, no one wanted to say it out, but everyone was thinking it, finished what she started by attempting to turn Luna into a protégé? Steffi stood by the French doors, gazing out at the garden, arms wrapped around herself as if she were keeping her ribs together. Finn approached her gently. "I can't do this," she stated without turning around. "I can't pretend to mourn her. She wanted me to die, Finn. She wanted our children to grow up without a mother." "I understand," he added quietly. "But she's left now. And hating a dead girl won't make up for the months we've lost." Steffi whirled, her eyes burning. "Don't you dare defend her." "I'm not defending her," Finn corrected. "I am defending us. Steffi, we survived her. We won. Let her go." But Steffi couldn't. Not yet. Because whenever she closed her eyes, she saw the cage in the abandoned building. She felt the zip ties rip into her wrists. She recognized Luna's voice, sweet, sensible Luna, explaining that Steffi had to die so Finn could finally be happy with someone who deserved him. Across the room, Bill observed Poppy accept condolences with the vacuous civility of someone whose soul had left their body weeks earlier. He wanted to approach her and hold her, but every time he came close she shied away. He could not blame her. Luna had been lurking in the closet the last time they had love, taping everything. The last time he told Poppy he loved her, Luna was standing outside the door, listening with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Deacon discovered Sheila near the bar cart, pouring herself a drink that no one had offered her. "You shouldn't be here," he stated gently. "I know," she responded. "But I needed to see it. I had to see what happens when someone like me, when someone like us, does not get saved," Deacon said, his face twisted. "Luna wasn't like you. She was exactly like me," Sheila replied, taking a swig of bourbon. "That's what scares everybody. She was young, gorgeous, and talented, and everyone wanted to think the best about her. They destroyed her after recognizing her potential for evil. Just like they keep attempting to destroy me." "You are not destroyed," Deacon stated vehemently. "You're standing right here." "For now," Sheila answered, and something in her voice made the hairs on the back of Deacon's neck stand up. Outside, the paparazzi gathered like vultures. They yelled inquiries every time the front gates opened. "Lee, do you believe your sister killed Luna?" "Steffi, can you comment on the rumors that you hired a hitman?" "Bill, reports suggest Luna left a suicide note blaming you. Do you want to respond?" Inside, the three ladies who had loved Luna the most, each in their own broken way, unintentionally gathered beside the casket. Lee, Poppy, and Sheila. Dr. Free Spirit and Psychopath. They were brought together for one bizarre time by the girl, after failing in various ways. "I keep waiting to wake up," Poppy murmured. "Every morning I think this has all been a nightmare." "It has been," says Lee. Her voice sounded hoarse from sobbing. "But nightmares end." Sheila said nothing. She simply stretched out and touched the casket one more time, her fingertips resting on the spot where Poppy had placed the lip gloss. Then she walked away, disappearing via the same side door she had entered, fading back into the darkness that had given birth to her. The interment was private. Simply family, or what passed for family in Los Angeles. Luna was laid to rest in a little spot at Forest Lawn, beneath a tree that had just begun to turn gold with autumn. The headstone read simply, "Luna Noel Spencer, beloved daughter." There are no dates yet. They were still waiting for the coroner to officially release the body following the second secret autopsy, which Lee had paid for out of pocket. As the casket was lowered into the grave, Poppy finally let out the scream she had been holding back for weeks. It was an animalistic, guttural cry, like a mother watching her kid depart forever. Lee caught her as she collapsed and held her sister for the first time in decades as they both sobbed into the ground. Finn stood apart from the others, staring at the grave as if he were attempting to solve an impossible conundrum. Steffi watched him, and her heart broke all over again. She knew he was thinking about what-if scenarios. What if he'd noticed Luna's blackness sooner? What if he'd done a better job protecting Steffi? What if he'd been able to save the girl who used to look at him as if he were the moon? However, there are no what-ifs at a funeral. Only what is. What remained was a 23-year-old girl buried, a family shattered beyond repair, and a city murmuring about Luna Spencer for years to come. As the remainder of the soil was shoveled over the casket, Lee gazed up to the sky. It was one of those ideal Los Angeles days, bright blue with no clouds in sight. Luna would have liked it. She would have wanted to draw the way the light filtered through the leaves, and she would have refused to wear black in favor of something silly and brilliant. Lee closed her eyes. "I'm proud of you," she said into the wind. "Wherever you are, Auntie is proud," Poppy heard her. She nodded through her tears as she grasped the silk pouch, which now housed only memories. In the distance, a bird started singing. For a brief period, the three women who had sobbed the most permitted themselves to imagine that Luna had found peace. However, in Los Angeles, tranquility is only brief. And Luna Spencer's story, the girl who arrived in town with little and attempted to seize everything, was far from ended. Because not all deaths end tales. They simply write new ones with blood and tears, and the type of secrets that never remain buried for long. Luna's death had settled over Los Angeles like a dense, immovable fog that refused to lift no matter how hard someone tried to breathe through it. The city itself appeared quieter, the Forrester estate strangely hollow, and the typical rhythm of the fashion world muffled in a way that caused people to walk slower, speak softly, and look over their shoulders as if darkness had taken shape. Nobody anticipated Luna to die so soon, and especially not in the way she did. Her smile, which was once so dazzling that it lit up entire rooms, now felt like a ghost, lingering in every corner of the house where she shared memories, frozen in every photograph pinned to mood boards, and haunting everyone she loved. Rumors have circulated since the night she died. They spread from office to office, whispered over studio floors, and passed from desk to desk in hushed secrecy. Some claimed it was an accident, while others argued it wasn't. There were murmurs of foul play, disjointed debates about Luna's dying days, and suggestions that something far more nefarious was going on behind the scenes. Her mother, Poppy, refused to discuss the night Luna vanished from her apartment. Lee, ever the protector of her family's image, maintained an unsettling stoicism. Even Bill, who had only lately formed a tender bond with Luna after discovering the truth about her paternity, was unsure what to believe. There were too many vacant spaces, too many answers that no one seemed willing to provide.